Hey everyone, this is Mike from Mike's Do It Yourself. Today I'm going to show you how to do a CV axle on a 2000 Toyota 4Runner. And we'll go through the steps and I'll show you exactly how to take it out and put a new one in. Alright, let's get started. Now the first step, of course, jack up your vehicle, place it under a good firm jack, take your tire off. And I do have the axle supported underneath. You can see that. And the reason we're taking out the CV axle, you can see right there, the boot is split. So we'll go through the steps on how to take that out and put a new one in. Now this vehicle has wheel spacers, so go ahead and take these off, and then we'll get the hub moved out of the way, and I'll show you how to take out the hub nut. If you have a wheel spacer, to get that off, you can put a screwdriver in your rotor, and that way it'll back up to your caliper, and that way you can loosen the bolts that go onto your wheel spacer. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this one off when it comes time to reassemble. So the next step would be to get your center cap off. Basically what you want to do is get a rubber mallet and a flathead screwdriver. Just hit it around the edges. Take your screwdriver out there. Just want to get in between the groove, between the two, between the dust cap and the axle part of it, or your brake rotor there. So you should get to a point where it's going to come out like that. Okay, and then from here, what you want to do is take this cotter pin out, and then take this castle nut off. And once your cotter pin's out, take that off, and you can work on your castle nut. And in this case, it's a 35 millimeter. That's the proper size for that. Stick your screwdriver back into the rotor and brace it against the caliper. just want to make sure your vehicle is supported securely before you attempt to take your castle nut off. Okay, once you get that axle nut off, the next thing you'll want to do is leave your caliper and your rotor alone. Don't mess with those. But what you'll want to do is take these 4 bolts off. And this is the lower part of your control arm, right at your ball joint. So your lower ball joint, take these 4 bolts out, and this will give your axle something to pivot from, so you can take your CV axle out. And once you remove those 4 bolts, your axle should be free to move. And what you'll want to do is put your castle nut back on. Put the castle nut back on. You may need a bigger hammer. Now what I did to get this free of the hub, as you can see I got some gashes there, but you're going to get a new castle nut, and then the CV axle, of course you're going to get a new one, or remanufactured, whatever it might be. But what I did is just put this on the end, hit it a few times, and then it broke free of the hub. As you can see there. Now to get the skid plate off, you want to do that. That way you can access the other side of the CV axle. So it'll be this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, and then this bolt here, and then that bolt, and then you can remove your skid plate to get to your CV axle. Once you get your skid plate off, you want to go ahead and take out the CV axle out of your front differential. Now as you can see, you got gear oil 75 weight 90, 75 W90. And so what you want to do is put a pan underneath there, because once you take this out, you're going to get a little bit of drippage. And what's holding it in, there's a C-clamp in here, and you'll see it when it gets popped out. But what you'll want to do is go either on this or up here and just hit it with a hammer. You can see that well enough until it pops out. And go ahead and rotate it. Hit it a couple more times. See, it's starting to drip out a little. Just turned it again. Okay, once you get that pushed out, that's what it's going to look like. And that C-clamp is right here. That's what holds it in there. Alright, and you may need to push this in again to get that to get free. Be careful not to damage any of your brake lines. Okay, that's what the old one looks like. You want to put some gear oil on the new C-clamp before you get it in. And now would be a good time to go ahead and clean up any grease that you have around where your boot area was. Now the side that's going to go into the CV axle itself, or the front differential, is here with the C-clamp. So the trick on this is to not be gentle. So you'll want to move your hub over a little bit, just out of the way, so you can get a straight shot to get your CV axle in. Now here's a look into that shaft. So you got a smooth section, and then you got the splines, and then back past that, that's where that C-clamp will rest, back past the splines. So the trick is to push it in hard enough to get it past that first set of splines and into the very back end. But you think you have it pretty well centered, and in there you can push on it a little bit, see if it'll go in some. Most likely it won't. So what you want to do is get your old castle nut, and your hammer, and like I said, just make sure that it's lined up before you put the hammer in there. Okay, so you can tell it's a little crooked. There we go. See how that's pretty straight. You see it back all the way into that plate. So as you can tell, it's all the way in. In the next step, take the old nut off, the old castle nut. This will take a little finessing, but you could throw some penetrating lube or some WD-40 or some gear oil in there just to keep it lubed up a little bit. And that's in your wheel spines, your hub spines. So what I did, I just threw some gear oil, some penetrating oil in there. And you got to get your spines lined up. Go. Just lifted up the hub a little bit and slid on. Check all the way in. See how it's seated all the way to the end. So that C-clamp is in there properly, and that way it won't come out. Okay. After you get it jacked up, you'll want to put those ball joint bolts, the lower ball joint bolts, back on. You have to move it around a little bit to get these started. Now, these are called lower ball joint mounting bolts, and the torque on these are 59 foot-pounds. And once you get the lower ball joint mounting plate bolts torqued, now it's time to do the drive axle. Now the drive axle hub nut is going to be 174 foot-pounds. So you're going to have to put a lot of force on this. So if you haven't rested this on a jack, or if it's not on a jack, make sure you lower it down to rest on the jack. And then also, you're going to want to put your biggest screwdriver, or a large screwdriver, into the top of your rotor. You can also take out your center hubcap and put your tire back on and lower it down. You can do it that way also. you can see, my measurements aren't exact, but I will go slightly over that 150. That's about 175 right there. And you'll want to put the ring back in to keep it from moving. And hopefully you're lined up to where you can put the cotter pin back in. Or just get a new one. I did find another cotter pin, a new one. I just want to bend it over. Nothing will be in the way. Spin them. Alright, you put the tire back on. Just double check, make sure everything looks like it's seated in the proper position and against all the plates. You'll want to tap your cap back on before you put your tire back on. Once you've torqued your wheel lug nuts, in this case it's 83 foot-pounds, it's time to top off the gear oil inside of your front differential. So what I have is a 3/8, looks like an Allen socket, as you can see that. And there's a filler hole, plug, drain right there. That's where you're going to fill it from. Your drain is actually here, down at the bottom. But you'll just want to open up the top one and top it off. Because you did lose some, you should have lost some when you were changing out the CV axle. And then if there's any metal shavings in the center, I've had this off a couple times before, on either one, the bottom or the top, just clean those metal shavings out really good. This one has been replaced recently for the gear oil, so I'm not going to drain it. Now you can do this a bunch of different ways. What I'm going to do is take the bottle of gear oil, come over here in the wheel well, tilt it upside down, and then the other end of the hose is going to be in the filler hole. Or what you can do, if you have a small hand pump, you can stick the hose into your gear oil bottle and then just pump it into there and wait till some comes out. And that's what I usually do, but I'm going to try it this other way and see how well it works. And so what I'm watching for is just to see until some gear oil starts coming out of the top there, and that's when I'll stop filling it. Alright, starting to pour out. Just holding it on to the bottle here. And then you want to hold something underneath it just to catch anything that might flow over. Pull this out. Drain back into the bottle. Okay, then you'll want to torque this back to 20 foot-pounds. And then just wipe up the excess. And go ahead and put your skid plate back on. And then that's it. This has been Mike from Mike's Do It Yourself. Thanks for watching. Good luck on your next home or automotive project.